Come on in the room. Come on in the room. No, the name Soul Food actually comes from us naming our food after the invisible, that you can feel like love and God, the connection between the ancestors and the ones to evil. Soul food, soul life, is wellness for your soul in ways that I and I, speak to ourselves and others. How I and I, protect our spiritual gateways, and how I and I, nourish our temples with fruits, vegetables, and water, connecting with God, divine source and most high, and nature on all planets. I love you. I love the God in me. I see the God in me. I love the God in me.
Come on in the room. Come on in the room. Welcome, Soul Family. Happy 2026.
2026.
I am back with guests who have open invites to this channel. I've tried to get each of them individually, but as time and chance would have it, I end up getting a 2-for-1 on this show. Give me just a moment, y'all. I'm trying to navigate this. Boom. Okay, so I want you guys to introduce yourself to the room. Um, Here on this channel, we talk about, love and peace and elevation and how we can show up in love. And love and soul food is how we treat ourselves and how we treat everybody and how we treat our planet. So, with that being said, I'd like to first introduce beautiful to Sheila Early, singer, actress, Tucker. Please take a minute to introduce yourself in your own words to the room.
Hello, 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 beloveds. Hello, everyone. I am so honored to be here with you today, beautiful soul food. My name is Tashila Early. I go by Sheila Love. I am a certified Kodo practitioner, and as your beautiful host said, I am a trucker, survivalist, and all the things. I love Mother Earth. I love to hug trees. I love to ground. And I just love people. I love life. I love love. And so I'm excited to be here. I can't wait to get into the conversation and share all the beautiful things we have to share.
Yes, the synergy, the synergy. Thank you for that. And next we have William Coleman. Everybody calls him Billy. I always call him William, and I say it like a professor when I said William. William is a world traveler. He's the founder of the North Chicago think tank and someone who makes me feel 10 feet taller every time I am with him. William, please introduce yourself to the Soul family and tell us about yourself.
Hey, y'all. Thank y'all so much for having me in this sacred, beautiful space. It's such an honor to be here. My name is William Coleman, but my friends call me Billy, but you can call me William. So people from my university call me Will. And as Elegant Soul Food told y'all, I am an earthling. I believe in migration. And for the past 18 years, I've been navigating this planet, and it's been beautiful. And I've been meeting humans from all over this planet and exploring with them in very real time how they live, how they love, how they cook, how they feel, how they express curiosity, how they commune, how they share information, how they experience sensation. I just got back last week from Oaxaca, Mexico. Shout out to Oaxaca. Shout out to Guerrero State. Shout out to the African Mexican mix and the indigenous solidarity that runs all down that way. I just also spent time in Antigua, Guatemala, feeling the volcanoes, and just feeling the energy of not only dormant volcanoes but those that release slowly over time. I think one of the things I learned this trip is that you're supposed to be releasing. I sat and watched a volcano, and I always had this myth in my mind that volcanoes always erupted in this dangerous, violent, lava spewing way. But this one volcano was just going like puff, puff, puff. And I was just sitting drinking my coffee, watching it go puff. And I was like, it's releasing. It's like I can't hold this in. And it's okay. It's okay for me to let go of some of this. So yeah.
And for everybody that is already subscribed to this page, Billy just said something, or William just said something that was key. When I told you guys back in the beginning of January, into December, what the word for 2026 is release. And I'm going to put that link down below in this video just because you just gave another confirmation, the energy that we are exhibiting for 2026 is release. Let that shit go. We're not holding on to anything that doesn't serve us. Let it go. And we don't feel no kind of way about it.
No shame.
It's all about the love. Yes. Yes. So with that being said, we are here to activate the room with a topic of loneliness, intimacy, and sacrifice. We are activating a judgment-free zone where where our guests can, and where the viewers can chat and learn something new about ourselves and the world. The unified goal of this activation is to let love overrule our fears and have difficult discussions about our existence and how we show up. Please feel free to type your questions in the chat, drop questions and comments in the chat. This is a community that is here for solutions. Everybody that is here is an expert in your own feelings, your own life experience, and everybody here is an authority on how they want to see their lives move forward. And so we're going to chop it up and talk about those things that are important to us. During the pandemic, people were just so lonely and painfully lonely. Just like some other people I've run into, where I was very happy. I was so in love with my space and being away from people and actually having the time to get into myself. And the things that I walked away from, it was a two-sided coin. It's always a two-sided coin. The thing that I walked away with in the pandemic was, one, get over yourself. You get offended, or you hear something you don't like, or you feel you should have, would have, could have done this differently. And then you just kind of just stir with it. And to give yourself permission to get over yourself. It's really not that deep. Let it go. Everybody survived. You alive, they're alive. You kept moving. Let it go. And the other thing is I'm nobody's savior. So all I can do is, share my time with you, share my love with you, if you're important enough for us to do that. And if we are not able to share time with each other and be in each other's space, I don't love you any less. I'm just moving around and letting life show you things, right? Right. So I would love for our guests to share their thoughts about experiences with intimacy as a whole. Let me clear my screen a little bit. Give me just 1 second. There's a lot going on here. Can you guys see the PowerPoint?
Yes.
Okay. So given that intimacy has various aspects where there's actually emotional, there's physical, intellectual, experimental, as well as spiritual. It's not just the typical. It's kind of like with people overuse the word friendship. People overuse the word love. People overuse the word intimacy or underutilize it in its full boldness. So when either you hear the word intimacy and your own experiences and what you know to be true in terms of just being sensational humans on the planet, can you kind of summarize your thoughts about intimacy, sacrifice in relationships, whether it's single or married or however it may be? Can you just share what your initial thoughts were about the topic when I invited you guys in?
I guess I'll go first. When I think of intimacy, first of all, there, like you have here on the screen, there are so many different types of intimacy. But for me personally, it's about connection, and you receive intimacy in so many different ways, in so many different environments, right? And so you have the physical intimacy where you can simply be holding hands with a loved one, right? Just sharing space with that individual. You have experiential intimacy, where you like right now, us three from different walks of life, we're sharing this experience together. In this space, we are intimate, right? And so it is when I first think about intimacy, it's all about connection. It's creating that bond, it's creating that safe space, it's that resignation, it's that trust, it's that vulnerability, right? And so that's what it means to me. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Well said. William?
When I think about when I thought about the topic, I thought about two things. First is a term called third space, and third spaces are any space outside of work and home, right? And I thought about how important third spaces like this virtual space is, because a lot of people don't even have the space to say, I don't know what that word means. I don't know, we using this word and it's directly applied to me, it's directly applied to my daily life, and I don't know what it means. And then that ignorance just becomes more and more compiled and complex, because then I'm pushed into all of these situations and I don't even know what the words mean. I don't know what the context means, right? And so I think about my relationship. If you would have told me when I was 15 that I was going to be the type of person that goes to the other side of the world to be intimate with the earth, I would have never been able to receive that, right? And I think it was because I was given access to so many third spaces where people really was just experimenting with intimacy and being like, what does it mean? What does it mean to me? What does it mean based on my traumas? What does it mean based on my new realizations? What does it mean in my family? What have I seen it replicated as? Um, and I think for one, I I think more people need third spaces, safe third spaces to talk about intimacy, and not just with the intention of getting another person to engage in intimacy with, but to really just be like, I don't know what this means. Can we talk about it? Right. And then the other part, I love how sister was talking about connection. When I think of intimacy, I feel like we are trees, right? They are relatives, and I'm really keen on exploring and feeling the mycelium network, which is the way that mushrooms and trees talk to each other, because they connected, but they're not lying.
Yeah.
Right? They're not
Yeah.
lying to one another. They're saying, I could feel you and I could tell you either need to give or receive some sort of nutrients and minerals. And in order for this whole forest to be healthy, we're gonna have this individual connection, this individual intimacy, but it's actually related to the larger group. And so I struggle, right? Because there's some of us that get that immediately. But then
Yeah.
some people like, what that boy talking about? Somebody going in the forest and you feeling networks of them talking to each other. But I sometimes have to go as far as Borneo. I have to go live in West Papua. I have to go to the jungles in Thailand. I have to go to these spaces and feel it. But it's also as close as the forest in Zion. It's as close as the beach in Waukegan, right? And so I'm just going. I know I've been talking too much, but I also want to hold space for people who are so far away from intimacy because of whatever happened to them, because of that fear. Some people are very close to it, they're very comfortable with it, they could get right to platonic or familial or romantic intimacy. And there's some people who they just so scared or they've been so abused that it's like, no, I can't even get close to nobody.
Yeah. Yes. See, this is why I have you two on the show. And you both have touched on topics that's going to have to be for a whole nother show. We're going to keep the gate narrow. Really, though, because people take intimacy at face value or what they heard. And a lot of times people can't even identify the intimate aspects of themselves. And they equate it to just an external feeling or a sexual feeling. And so we're going to tap into some things. Now, before we get started with these case stories, let us be mindful of the YouTube guidelines and be careful not to use words that are going to flag this video and shut it down, and then no one will get to see it.
Okay.
So we're going to have to say it without saying it, which is going to be really hard for me because I'm a cusser and I'm just like a bumper sticker. I'm just like, I don't need 2 paragraphs to tell you this, that, and the third. So I hold myself accountable as well. So here's the first case story. Oh, I want to give you guys a teaser as we get into this. Our next show, and I really need you to be here, William. Our next show title is for date night on Thursday, is Sucker for Love, What You Won't Do for Love. And I want to give you like the heads up of like the 2 phrases underneath it, but I'm not going to do it. So I'm just going to go into this case story.
Okay.
First case story is called There's a Stranger in My House.
Okay, come on, Tamia.
And I came up with this because Sheila can sing her ass off. And I remember the first time I heard her sing that song. And then as time goes by and we're living and having experiences as young adults, and listening to that song, I could be driving from work and hear that song right now. And you'll start to draw back memories about, man, was it me or was it him? Was I the one that's changed, or who is this person, or who am I now? And that's really critical, whether you're single or married, or you're single or married and creating a situationship for yourself. What we want to do is avoid situationships. That's the whole goal of being honest and facing our intimacy. So here's the scenario. Avoiding difficult conversations. There's a stranger in my house. Go along to get along in daily life, or dating single or married, and avoiding a situationship. One person is dying to talk and make connection with someone. What we know about this case, this person feels misunderstood. They second guess how they communicate. They're constantly apologizing. The person has been married for more than 20 years and feels isolated, lonely, and desperate. Whenever they express their interest or discuss things or want to go places that pique their curiosity, it's rarely taken seriously.
And we don't know. Well, I guess gender doesn't matter.
I purposely structured these so gender did not matter. Where being single, married did not matter. This is something that can resonate to any person that will stumble on this video, not by accident, but because it was meant for them to come here and think about how they're showing up and why they're showing up the way they are when they're trying to combat loneliness, whether they're single or married. I know people that were married for decades, lonely in the whole time, wouldn't let go because of the kids, or the kids left and just like, it's the only thing I know how to do. I'm too old to move on, and this kind of thing. So they feel misunderstood. They second guess how they communicate. is, they're constantly apologizing. They whenever they express their interests or discuss things they want to do, they're not even taken seriously. Oh, you must need a nap. Oh, you must not be feeling good. You must be drinking. I can't believe you asked me something like that. So there's a stranger in my house. Your first thoughts about the intimacy that's being flagged in this relationship?
I can't help but wonder what brought them to that point. Because you mentioned that they were married for 20 years. And so clearly there was something there to keep them there for 20 years, right?
Sometimes people just don't have anywhere else to go.
That's because that's kind of where my mind went, right? Because when you said 20 years, right, and I'm thinking about 20 years back and then 20 years before that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I wrote down was context, right? Because I was like, what's the intention for the connection, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes I got to hold I lived in India for 2 years, right? And I got to experience how people move when you arranged, when somebody is literally like saying, okay, I want to help you make better decisions for the longevity of the relationship that you're going to have for the rest of your life, right? And I think about where we are now in relation to freedom of choice, but also like rape culture, capitalism, misogyny, patriarchal dominance. So a lot of people, if it's a woman, she might have ended up in a relationship because that's just what she had to do to survive, right? We
And
talk
that's
about
true in America as well,
especially in
our
America.
great grandmothers.
Yes, yes. And so for me, I think of the way I approach relationships now is that I have values conversations immediately. I have values conversations immediately because if a lot of us have introduced ourselves to connections with absolutely no understanding of who we are, who that other person is, and not really saying, are we going to be in something where we about to be in soil together and we going to grow together? A lot of people not having that conversation because it's not, we are being put in environments that are really humane, that really want us to feel what intimacy is. So I can understand if somebody's like, just stay quiet. Just stay quiet because you're not going to understand me, or you're going to clown me, or you're going to make me feel like I'm weird for it. And sometimes that's more painful when you reach out to somebody who's supposed to be your intimate other and then they reject you or they make you feel less than or try to humble you. Um, and we also don't have like grieving spaces for
Come
people to
on.
be like, dang, maybe I made the wrong decision. And
Mm-hmm.
now I'm being shamed if I want to leave this. I'm being shamed if I want to take us to therapy. I'm being shamed if I want to be open and honest about what I'm feeling.
I
I can
mean, really,
go
I'd be ashamed because I would like going to the museum. and you just want to sit on the couch. And that goes back to the point that Sheila was trying to make. How did we get here?
Yeah, what started us down this path? Because you're married and you're married for 20 years. So and then like Brother William said, like context, like we need more context because each situation is different. So
Well, the goal is to discuss intimacy.
mm-hmm.
What's
So
missing?
what's missing? Well,
Yeah.
first of all, there's no safe space there.
That's
Right?
number one. Yes.
There's no safe space there. That person doesn't feel like they can trust that the other individual with their feelings, with their thoughts, right?
And let's go back to this point. Intimacy and sacrifice and the loneliness.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
while there's no safe space internally, what's happening? If we take that other person out the picture, was that something that was already a barrier, in terms of being a go along to get along type person.
And I'm gonna say this: one of the main pushes of the North Chicago think tank is community centers and family education spaces, right? Because you really need to be, even just to be single, to be secure and single, you need education and support and training, right?
Mhm.
To be like, who am I, and am I standing 10 toes down in who I am, or
That's
am I
right.
performative? Am I responding to wounds? Am I responding to traumas, right? And so I would say more often than not, a lot of people are getting together without that, right? Or they're getting connected based on a conditional, right? Somebody's like, hey, we pregnant. Back in the 60s and the 70s, we pregnant. So guess what? We get married. That's it. Ain't no if, ands, or buts about it. I might not even really like you. I might not even really love you, but we gonna have this baby. And so because of the social structures and all that, we gotta be together, and the
And it
economic
takes two to make a
requirements.
thing go right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We weren't taught intimacy. Our parents weren't teaching us that,
They
right?
wasn't taught it
And
most times.
I was, yep, you're absolutely right. I was going to say that also. So it's hard to get something from nothing. But I do believe that couples therapy is necessary before getting
Yes.
into a relationship.
Yes.
So that intentionality and intimacy and, like Brother William said, values. One of the things, one of the pillars of cuddle therapy is finding your why, right?
Say more about that.
Yeah, finding your why. So we provide the safe space for people to be able to do that. And that's part of intimacy, right? You're giving somebody, we give you a container, we put you in a container, and we allow you the opportunity to just organically be yourself, right? Be totally transparent, totally just vulnerable, right? That's something that you need from your partner, right? To experience intimacy. But before you go into any situation, you have to know your why, and you have to find your no also, right? Why am I doing this? Why do I want to be in this relationship? Is this good for me? Am I, like Brother William said, is this situational? Did we get pregnant? Was it arranged? Like, what is your why? And some things, unfortunately, we can't get around, like arranged marriages and stuff like that. Yeah, you can't get around.
Shotgun marriages. I will step out on a limb and say that I think some of those situations are closer than we think. It's like, I want to make my parents happy, and I'm just gonna go ahead and do this thing. My heart's not in it, but I can learn to love him. I can learn to love her. I can learn it because it's the thing that's expected of me.
You know what? I'm thinking
that too.
A huge part. Not, I'm now in my brain. The slide went away, but I was looking at the piece that said intellectual, and I was thinking about how curious you have to be as a human to stay connected to that drive for intellectualism. Right. And you always ask, because in order to ask why, right, you got to feel safe enough to do that. And a lot of us was taught as babies not to stop asking why, to sit back and shut up.
I said so.
Because I said so, right? And so when you talk about how we pull that from our infancy to our childhood, into our adolescence, into our teenage years, and then into our adult choices, you've been trained, you've been conditioned. Don't ask why. And especially if it don't make sense, just shut up and sit back and take it, right? And I think about how many relationships I've made, healthy relationships, over curiosity, even with food. And how some people have a very strict, like they don't question food. They don't go, they're not curious in a grocery store, they're not curious in markets, they're not curious in these spaces. And I'm like, this is what you eat every day though. Like, you're not curious, you're not wondering about this or that and trying new things. They're like, nope, I'm not. It don't interest me.
And I've got it down to a science. Like you said, something that's simple will have me not even communicate with you because it spills over into everything. And I know it's the way you process yourself and you process life. And even though it seems like a small thing, it's always going to be that thing. Always.
Always.
And what you said was a perfect segue into our next case story. And for those that are watching, I just want to remind you to come back in a couple of weeks because we're going to do the part 2, which is Sucker for Love, what you won't do for love. And again, we are doing this to date in our marriages, to date while we're single, to figure out who we are, how we show up, and how to make ourselves more pleasing to our own selves, our own soul, our own spirit, our own peace of mind, so we can get off of this loneliness. It's a pandemic. There are more single people. I keep saying people gonna end up like dating in AI. They're gonna just like be texting they chat GPT all day. They're gonna come home, take a shower, put on their sexy, smelly, put on their VR glasses and just jerk out. Over again.
I'm too tactile for that. I can't do it.
I'm promising you, this gonna be a way we're gonna be looking like. So perfect segue.
Okay.
For the second one.
Okay.
Poor impulse control, honesty versus fear, avoidance of trauma, not knowing oneself or unsure of what's really good for oneself, shame. Then showing up wanting to date or having this discovery while married or while collecting red flags in the makings of a situationship. That's the context. Now, what we know is this person wants to date, but has never had anything last longer than a few months at best. Yikes. They are unwilling to bend, compromise. They have a one-track mind. They're inflexible. Has a because I say so mentality. And the person has often been told that they are neglectful. Question: how can this person define or establish intimacy for themselves? Because I said so. Often told they're neglectful. I feel like I'm talking about all of Lake County sometimes when I say
they need therapy.
Okay. So I posted something. I posted something on the think tank page about this. I was in Oaxaca, and I was in South Mexico on the coast. And if you go along the beach, depending on the day and the type of waves, it's either a green flag, an orange flag, or a red flag. And it made me think about the way we look at each other and our red flags. I got some red flags. I ain't gonna lie. I got some red flags.
We
right?
all do, honey.
We all have red flags, right? But there was this particular beach, Playa Bococho, and Playa Bococho is where they released the baby turtles. And so I was standing at this beach, and it was so beautiful. The waves was doing what it was doing, but there was a red flag. But really, what the red flag was saying was, don't get up here unless you know what you're doing. Don't engage with this space unless you really understand it, unless you really know, because those waves, while we calling it a red flag, that's just a relationship between the tide and the moon. It's just doing what it naturally does. So I think like when we humanize each other, we are given the time and the space, the safe space, like Sis said, to really ask deep questions. It's not a jab against you. It's just, I'm not prepared to deal with that. I don't have what it takes to really support this person who needs this as they go into, and it might be some people who don't have what I need, right? But I think we still let fear move us. And so then we can't get intimacy, right? If someone is always saying, because I said so.
But back to the person. Again, I'm like one finger out, three fingers in.
Okay.
What about the person and them even having the concept of what intimacy is for them, excluding anybody else? So if someone's telling me I'm neglectful and I can't even process that. I can't even allow that to get in. I can't even let my mind skip to analyze what am I doing that somebody's perceiving neglectful. They're just so inflexible and unwilling to bend. How can their impulse control be metered towards intimacy with themselves? This is stuff to think about. Go ahead.
When I said that person needed therapy, I hope I didn't come off as judgmental. I really meant that from a loving space. We all can use therapy in some, in some form. I do believe that person definitely needs some mental therapy. And it's going to take someone that they really, really respect and desire to get through to them. Multiple people can come into their lives and say the same thing, but until that one person, it only takes one person to save your life. Until that one individual comes to them and lets them know, hey, this is something that you need because X, Y, and Z. If they, different things kind of spark us to make moves, right? It may be they may have to lose somebody that they really care about. You know what I mean? Lose a situation that they really, really want. Different things spark us to make moves. So if they don't have the tools to do it themselves, something may have to happen. Someone may have to tell them, something may have to happen to help them. If this person is immovable the way that you're saying they are, and they don't have the tools, something is going to have to happen. Something outside is going to have to happen to get them to move.
These are all real stories. And if you look at psychology has proven less than 10% of people change. This person, in this case, is almost 60. They've lost their parents. They've lost a lot of things in life. People can get cancer and still be the same people that they are. People just don't change like in the movies. Like, okay, after an hour and 30 minutes, this person has learned a lesson and now they're going to be different. Psychology has proven the only way, the most typical way that people actually change, it had to already be in them.
But I'm sorry.
About therapy. Willing to go to therapy to get down to the bottom of why you are like that. And not taking the compounded losses and just burying it on top of what you already are, showing up as. And where you already have poor impulse control, now you have grief on top of poor impulse control. And then you can't get a relationship to go longer. You can have kids, you can have a successful career, you can have a lot of money, you can be from an affluent family. All of these are variables about this person. It's not like they ever lacked for anything. So it was something emotional or something traumatic that they've never dealt with, to the point where they don't even have intimacy with themselves. So they don't have it to give to anyone else. It's frightening.
I don't see it as frightening. Because I want to amplify what Sister Tashila was saying about therapy, right? If you think about the number of people who have displayed what you're talking about, how many of them actually had access to therapy?
This person they have access. Hell, everybody, they have EAP at their job. They just can't.
Well, let me ask you this. Is this person comfortable with themselves? Like, what form of intimacy are you talking about? Because
that's the question.
They seem to be comfortable with themselves. It's just that they don't have intimacy with other people. So which form of intimacy are you referring to?
That's the question.
Well, because then, so here's what I wrote down. I wrote down don't versus won't, right? And I wrote neglectful because I said the opposite of neglectful would be thoughtful, right?
Mhm.
Maybe. And so for me, when I'm thinking about therapeutic support, it's somebody naming a destination or a path, right? And saying, okay, someone is saying that you're neglecting them, you're not thinking about them, right? And then you're saying, well, do you have that skill and you just withholding it from them, or do you not have that skill? Because those are two different types of therapeutic supports. Let's help you build that, or let's help you see the value in giving that to somebody, right? And I can think about in my personal life some people who just won't. And then I know with some people who they can't. They don't got it. They don't think about other people. Maybe they was the firstborn son and they got, cared for their whole life, or they are only child, or
Yes.
whatever. There's something that made it that they didn't have to think about nobody else because somebody was always catering to them. But then I think about like elder girls who are taught from the beginning, you got to think about everybody. As these babies come out, you gonna be their mama, you gonna be right. And so she just thoughtful. She ain't never gonna be neglectful because it's been put into her. So I'm just thinking about like pairing that humaneness with access to resources like therapy and asking people, is it that you won't or you just don't?
And you two make very good context for this case story. Very great context with you don't, you won't, and then how can they define or establish intimacy for themselves and others, and therapy being the response for that. I feel like there's these outliers that because we came up in a time where we didn't have technology, we weren't glued to a bunch of distractions. What they learned how to do was to say the right thing, to check a box, to move through situations with people. So
Mm.
they go undiscovered until you can't understand, why is this person single? Why did this person's marriage fail? Why is this person unable to hope maintain relationships for, more than a couple of months? Why is it that this person, has a because I said so? Whenever the conversation starts to go left, well, in so many words, they'll find a nice Christian way to say, because I said so. Because they've learned how to tactfully check those boxes. So, to both of your points, you will or you won't. And therapy, I think a lot of us, and this is no respect of color, sex, or creed, use religion as a spiritual hospital. And so then we can just say, but this religious piece of literature says this. And so that's what I'm going to hide behind. And I'm going to center myself around people that'll just take that as an answer. What do you think? Your thoughts?
I'm a I'm a I'm you know I'm a huge supporter of literacy. So I think when people hide behind religion, it's usually because they're not reading it. Because a lot of those books center humane treatment of one another, and they center like exploration of self and really caring for the other person that you with. You know what I mean? So I think again, when people have lack of access, then there's holes or walls that they can hide behind. But when people have supports like literacy, or they have community centers, or they have therapy, they have a safe space, even a journal where they can go and put down what needs to get put down. I think it can create a more likely situation of like a positive outcome.
So what I hear both of you saying is do the work. Nobody's going to be able to resolve this. Do the work.
Do the work. And can I say this too? I think for our people in the diaspora, we also have to understand that a lot of it is systemic. So it's like a lot of us are doing work individually and it still ain't popping. It's like, man, these systems be knocking us. They get you in the left, hit you with a right, and you be trying to, and so I think that part of it too. I know you don't want to be stupid. That's why I'm excited for the, don't play a fool episode. But it's a lot of systems against us that pin us so that we can't even focus on who we are or have a healthy, balanced approach to each other.
Systemic and generational.
Yes.
A lot of that stuff was passed down to us. Do you know that a lot of things that we experience are passed down through DNA?
That trauma sitting in us.
Yeah, that trauma came from your grandmother and your grandfather. Because while your
their
mom
grandparents
and their grandparents, yeah, because when your mom or your grandmother was in your great grandmother's or your grandmother's womb, the eggs were already in you know what I'm saying? The eggs were already there.
Yep.
And so all of that trauma and everything that they experienced just passes down and continues to pass down. I mean, it can be reversed. It can be fixed.
Work.
But you have to be able to do the work.
You have to be. I mean, to what sister said though, right? Think about that in the reverse. If when a mother has a baby girl in her stomach and that baby girl has her eggs, that's 3 generations we can positively impact. 3 generations. So if we turn that on its head and said, y'all want to give us all that trauma, that's fine. But we're going to gather up our pregnant community members and sisters, and we're going to try our best to positively impact 3 generations at a time. That's beautiful. That's why I said I'm hopeful. I know it's a struggle out here, but I'm hopeful.
We got to stay hopeful, stay optimistic, because I believe Generation Alpha, these like 6th graders that are watching us, and then their parents that are like in their 20s, between us, excluding the baby boomers, not all of them, just some of them, they are watching enough. They are entrepreneurial enough. They are free enough. They can flip it enough. They're watching what's happening right now, and they're forming their opinions without a lot of these systems that we had forced on us. More people than ever have stopped going to church than ever.
Yeah.
And so I believe this Generation Alpha is going to turn it over. I just want to remind the viewers, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please drop them in the comments section of the chat, and we can get you on and, give you some feedback and get some insight from you, because again, this is everybody's experience. Everybody has intimacy issues. Everybody has experienced, I don't know, I'm guessing everybody's experienced loneliness. I had to have somebody explain to me what it felt like, because I just didn't get it. And I was raised the only child, so it just didn't move me. And then everybody has sacrificed being single and being in a marriage, or sacrifice, fighting to resist a situationship or whatever. So you all are experts in this. Everybody has had an intimate experience, so you all are experts too, and we want to hear from you. And just to remind you, coming in the next show for Date Night Thursday, we're going to talk about sucker for love, what you won't do for love, and chop up some of the scenarios that keep us from crossing these thresholds and having loving relationships where love leads the way, in the way that we show up for ourselves and others. So case story 3 is called Full Body Orgasm. I just wanted to see y'all reaction. That's why I named that one this one. So, here's the situation.
Let me put this down so I can listen to you.
Perfect segue, closing question, segue for our next date night. Okay, so person dating, exploring sexuality for the first time, and continues not knowing the proper context for any of it.
Okay.
Let's say that they're, a teen, young adult, somewhere between the ages of 17 and 22. In their limited assessment, they are not enjoying sexual experiences. What we know is all participants are inexperienced. Again, I said they're 17 through 22. What we don't know is how intimacy, sexuality, and dating was introduced to each person that was involved in the experiences, the sexual experiences. What are your thoughts?
So did you say they're not enjoying it?
No, in their limited assessment, they are not enjoying the sexual experiences. What we know is that all participants are inexperienced. What we don't know is how intimacy, sexuality, and dating was introduced to each person. This is where I should get fucked up at all the time. Excuse my language, but this is where we all get messed up at right here.
I mean, well, you said it right there. They're inexperienced. They're young. And so they don't know what they're doing. And so they're not enjoying it because they don't know what they want. They don't know what they like. They don't know what they need. And they don't know how to get it. And so they're out here having these experiences all willy-nilly because it's the thing to do. And they don't know what the thing to do is. They don't know how to use or how to get to where they, get to an orgasm because they don't know themselves. They don't know anything. They just out here hunching.
Come on, hunching.
And I think that's so critical, thinking that a younger person that would stumble upon, not by coincidence, this video, or someone might share this video with someone. And it's almost like, what could we say to our 17 to 21, 22-year-old self about what intimacy really is, knowing what we know now, not having that information then. I think I was just told, you don't have kids until you get married. That was just like the end of it. It was like, okay.
We didn't have to sit down conversations with our parents that, we weren't talking about the birds and the bees and sitting down at the table. You know what I mean? We weren't doing that. We were just out here having fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think about this a lot because I think about liberation, right? And a huge part of liberation is your internal freedom, where you freed yourself to be curious and intellectual, right? And I think about what a disservice it is to refuse to give children robust biological education, whether it's a curriculum design that shows them this is your body. So forget all of and usually when you talk about, really it's about removing the access of orgasms to women. Let's be clear, because it'd be the women that suffer, really. But
say some of this for the next time. I knew you was gonna go here. Say something next time, but you hitting on it.
A whole nother conversation.
You hitting on it.
But what I want to say though is that even if someone is taking like a biblical or religious perspective, the body was, according to that belief system, was designed by God. So this nervous system and all of these things that the body can do is natural. So it makes sense for you to have some sort of safe incubator education for you to understand this is what your body can do. And it's beautiful. This is what you're supposed to be experiencing. And if you're not experiencing, that's actually unnatural, right? And so for me, that's why I keep my foot on the neck of school districts or churches or worship houses, because our children deserve that, right? To know their nervous system, to know their marmal points, to know everything about them. Because the other side to that is, if you don't show them, it's a predator out here that will. And once that predator give it to them, it's going to send them off into Lulu land, because, they done showed them something
they don't know how to process.
That they don't know how to process, right? But I don't think it's that difficult. If you keep it intellectual, you don't got to get crazy, but you can let these babies know this is your body.
I've had kids and I've taught kids, and it's just a conundrum. Like most things in life, it's just a conundrum.
Well, let me tell you something. We talked about this. We talked about this a while back, and I can't understand people who not having some experiences. I be like, we need to grieve.
There's a lot of grown women out here who are orgasm deprived. A lot. So I mean, it's easy for a man to have an orgasm.
But I would like Billy to speak to this part about men, because if we talk about the quality of an orgasm, I think that there's a cheap thrill, and then I think again there's this full body orgasm. And are you able to actually have a full body orgasm with a cheap thrill? And I can't speak to that as a woman.
Well, when we first had this conversation, it was about access to nutrients and minerals, right? So if you talk about a full body experience, that is an unmuted and unfiltered sensation in your nervous system, which would require you to have access to your fruits and your vegetables and your minerals, and then also that engagement with either yourself or another human being. I know what kind of experiences I have, and I like to get shot. I go to the moon, but everybody doesn't have that same experience because they're not approaching it in the same way. For me, it's very ritualistic. I'm like, I'm gonna be thinking about what kind of minerals are in my body. I'm taking my Tonkat Ali. I'm drinking my beetroot. I'm having mangoes. I'm having passion fruit. I'm stimulating things in order to get somewhere.
Wait,
Maybe not everybody's doing that.
I can't let you just scoot past this. You said full body experiences with other people or yourself, so you can have a full body experience by yourself.
Yes.
And I'll level you up one there. I can have an experience, don't even touch myself.
Yeah,
Come
this
on,
next
meditation.
conversation is gonna be good. It's gonna be
Listen.
good.
But here's the thing. Here's the thing. Again, what William was saying about tapping into your diet and your intuition and your spiritual DNA, we can talk without calling each other on the phone. So why wouldn't you be able to have an orgasm without touching yourself? It's what the levels of intimacy that we are allowed to go into ourselves with. And I think that's why I kept pointing the fingers back when I was asking you guys about the case studies, because I think that's part of what I thought the takeaway could be for everyone that's engaging in this conversation and those that are watching, is that it all comes back to us and how we show up. And people are going to feel that reverberation, or they're going to vibe their ass right up out of the scene. One of the two.
For sure.
And that the different types of intimacy, like I've just put up on the slide, in respect for time, leaning on another person, massaging, hugging, holding hands. In other cultures, we would see these pictures where Black men are just walking down the street in Africa, West Africa. They're holding hands with each other, and people are like, "That's gay," and I don't care how, because I'm a friend, but I'm just like, don't you love him? If something happened to him, wouldn't it hurt your heart? So why did we allow Western civilization to steal something as innocent as holding somebody's hand, and they're not dying? I'm just holding your hand because you my brother, because you my sister, and I'm glad to be spending this time with you. And we just walking and enjoying the sun and the day, and we on our way to do something, and I'm supporting you and you're supporting me, and we're just holding hands. That's something, that simple level of intimacy and what it means without somebody adding shame to it. Dancing together. Me and my daughter, at one point when she was a teenager, catching hell. Oh my God. I'm like Tashila said, I survived being a parent. And so I remember I didn't like her music. I didn't care for her music. She would play that screaming type rock music. And I'm just like, I think she just listened to that to fuck with me. I don't even think she really.
Come on, it's all about you.
At some point, this song comes on, that's her music. And I'm like, I just started dancing, and I like that. And I came up on her, and we literally danced about 4 times through every single room in my house. We danced through the whole house. When the song went off, we put on again, and we danced through every room. And she still remembers that because we had so much chaos, with her being 14, 15 years old. But that was a moment that we danced together, and we shared intimacy of things that she enjoyed and that I enjoy. And I just again wanted to point back to just the simple things. And if we talk about sex, I've been seeing, I'm a Prince fanatic, if you don't already know. I'm to this day still not over Prince. And then everybody else that passed has just made my life more harder to deal with grief. But there's questions coming up about Prince performing sex magic on people because you are intimate and into your intuitive self with intimacy. It has to be some type of magic ritual, right? Okay, fine. But they talked about how he would bathe them and wash their hair. And I'm like, I get it, because I like you to take a shower before you touch my sheets any day of the week. I just appreciate it. So I can understand the intimacy of bathing or being bathed with each other. I remember being in high school and this boy asked me, could he wash my hair? I thought he was a lunatic. But fast forward into my 30s and 40s, I was just like, damn, he was a teenager and he had that on his mind. to like rub his hand in my hair and wash my hair as a level of intimacy. We never had sex, never had sex to this day, but that was a level of intimacy he wanted to have with me. And just having that experience at 16, 17 made me curious about, okay, now if I've run into somebody and all they want to do is bounce on me, you know, like a trampoline or something, why don't he want to wash my hair? Because I actually like him. I didn't even like the other guy. I let him wash my hair.
Okay.
These are all questions that I'm putting out to everybody that sees this video, just to think about, what are we sacrificing in intimacy, and what are the barriers, like the different questions that I asked. A lot of people may not find themselves in all of these, but they may find one or two of those things that they can actually say, you know what, that's my bag right there. I know I be tripping and I'm trying to find a better way, but I'm not consistent with it, or I don't get enough opportunity to practice showing up that way. And then what are ways that I could do that? I think people are looking for solutions. I don't believe people want to be painfully lonely. I just don't believe that.
I don't think so, but I also think that you have to condition yourself to be curious. I love this asking the why, right? What is your why? We live on a planet of so many different people and cultures and approaches to intimacy, right? I'm not going to say too much, but in one of my experiences with intimacy, a partner of mine was like, I'm going to give you the water that you're going to use to bathe. And the water was filled with these leaves from a tree called the flames of the forest. And this person started singing while I was bathing. When we talk about experiences, I go all around the world and I got tons of experiences. But
That's
you also have to ask yourself,
sensational.
right? It's sensational. We deserve sensational, right? And there's so many people who are actively practicing amazing approaches to intimacy. But when we stop being curious, or when we make it too physical and we won't let it be cerebral, it's so sexy to achieve an epiphany alongside somebody else. You can actually meditate yourself into pleasure. There are things that people are doing in these countries, on these islands, where they saying, I'm gonna take you where these trees at and I'm gonna show you something, right? We deserve that. We have to keep saying that to ourselves, but also telling our children, you deserve an expansive approach to intimacy. You deserve a global spectrum of what it means to be next to somebody, to understand somebody, to be honest with somebody. And that's what I think we need to say more often, right? Because we keep saying people are lonely, and they are. But then you got to get curious. You got to get curious and say, well, what does it look like if I do it this way, or if I? And there's people out there that'll show you. You know, yeah. I just got to keep saying that. We got to be curious, because this experience is out here.
I hear you. I see you advocating for traveling for intimacy. I hear you. I hear you. I need you to drop some island names, you know.
I've actually heard Michelle Obama. It was Michelle Obama and two other ladies, Jane Fonda, who said sex is better at 73. And there was another lady, this other lady, she asked her if she was in a relationship, and she said, I have friends. And she was like, oh, so, you know, you and your friends. She was like, oh, no, all my friends live in different countries and they just like to do nice things for me. So this is an old Black lady about this tall that travels around the globe and has intimate experiences with friends.
Yep. Yep. Consensual and equitable experiences. There's so many, and I think that's the thing, is that if we ask ourselves, what context am I putting myself in? What kind of constraints am I putting myself in? Am I limiting myself because of so many things? And you know, sometimes we are, sometimes we're not, but yeah.
Okay, and respect for time, and with the slide that's on the screen, I'm going to ask each of you to pick two, or even go through all, you know, 6 if you choose to. I'm going to start and just say, I think people should look at this loneliness, intimacy, and sacrifice and think about what it means to them as an individual. So spiritual is always going to be number one for me. And there's rituals. I have mindfulness and affirmations that I do. Stretching is very important to me, as my body reminds me if I don't. Connecting with nature. I am Elegant Soul Food, the Consecrated Nature-Baby. That's my thing. Religion, not so much. My religion is being a good steward of this earth. If I have to pick a religion outside of African spirituality and Yoruba Ifa, which is pretty much rooted in being a good steward of this earth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number one for me. And I guess mental and physical would be a close second. Like I said before, I'm intellectually stimulated. You could be a damn fool. I will not talk to you again. I will block you and never deal with you again. And it's something as simple as like what Billy said. Do you look at the ingredients on the back of food? Okay, then you just reckless. That's the way I see it. You reckless with your temple. You're not going to come and destroy my temple or keep exposing me to things that are going to break my temple down. And then the physical, like I said, dude tried to wash my hair when I was 15, 16. I had no idea that was going to be something that would stick with me the rest of my life, even more so than anything else. And again, like I said before, being able to mentally say, I want to release and be able to do that without doing any of the other quote unquote typical sensations that they've taught us is supposed to be the way to have a full body orgasm. But just to be in tune enough with yourself to say, like William said, I deserve this. I need to release. It's a natural thing for me to do this. I don't have to go spend time and my energy with somebody else. I can do this for myself in this moment and not actually feel like I'm cheapening my worth.
Mm.
And that's my 2 cents. And it's all energetic and it's all emotional. Who got next?
I'm still reading.
Is it big enough?
One.
Yeah, it's big enough. At least for me, I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
I must say that I try to be as holistic as possible. I try. I like all of these. But I really like mental. I'm very much like if I can be. I often ask myself, who do I want to be next to when I'm old? Right? When none of this works anymore, or not, right? Who do I want to be next to? And it's really somebody that I can connect with mentally, cerebrally. So I really feel that. But I also think it's important to talk about physical and sexual needs now. I just think you should be open and honest and talk about it. And I'm gonna say the emotional piece. Talk about your feelings. Talk about your feelings, because when you bottle that up, it does damage. It does a lot of damage. Yeah, that's what I have.
I'm gonna go with the first being that my one of my first love languages is physical touch. I'm gonna go with physical. I am a cuddle bug.
You are a certified licensed cuddler.
I am. Yes, ma'am. And so I just love tactile. I just love touch. I love I love different y'all got to excuse me, right? Because I'm experiencing, I'm putting my business out here, perimenopause. So sometimes I be losing my thoughts and my words and stuff like that. But I love different textures. And I love the feeling of hair on people's, like when that new growth when your hair is growing in. I love to feel, the new growth growing in. I'm a tactile person. So and physical touch is healing, right? It releases oxytocin, and it just, it's the healing, it's a healing element. So physical touch, I'm going to go with physical touch. Definitely mental. I agree with you, Brother William, about who you're going to be with when you're older, because you may get to a point where you can no longer move around as much, right? And so can we still have a conversation? You know what I'm saying? Can we still, we might not be able to get out and hang out and all that kind of stuff, but can you still stimulate my mind while my body is no longer able to do the things we want to, do? Can we still enjoy, a good conversation with each other? And that's a segue into sharing feelings, the emotional part. So, having hard conversations, sharing appreciation. Baby, I love you. We've been together for so many years. We're going to die next to each other, that sort of thing. And so that means a lot to me also. And I can't leave out, listen, I like you, William, I like all of them. Energetic. I'm a big energy person, right? I love energy. It's everything. I mean, it's I can't even put it into words. It's just everything is energy.
Here's what's interesting about this. I was just reading through this for like the first time, and eye gazing caught my attention. I remember being with my son's father. Now I'm 18, 19 years old. I didn't have the words for this stuff. This kind of stuff wasn't just like on our radar back then. And he would be like, what's missing, or not using those words, but just like wanting to be close. We were just like naturally gravitating to being close to each other. And I would just say, well, let's play the mirror game. He was like, the mirror game? I'm like, yeah, whatever I do, you do back to me. And we would stare in each other's eyes and like mime and put our hands up and then just kiss us. We 17, 18 years old. And we would do that for like hours. Because we didn't go get on our phones and play video games, And it was just the energy. We just enjoyed each other's energy and being fun together and laughing and talking together. And like how my baby daddy, he died last year in February.
I remember.
And so I always tell my son, I'm like, you were made in love, and your father was very romantic. He was such a romantic person. For that to be, one of the beginning experiences, you don't have the words for it. But now looking back at it at 50, I'm like, definitely energy. And because we were able to communicate, it became mental, spiritual, and energetic. And then it got emotional and physical and sexual.
Yeah.
Building.
All of that.
Yes. You know what? We talk about that. I always encourage everybody that I know, because I seem to always, people who are brilliant and beautiful seem to always find me. I want y'all to journal so bad. I want y'all to write down y'all stuff so bad, because you never know who in your line will pick it up and will be able to see you. The only thing I have left, my dad died from COVID, but he loved my mom so much. They were together for 46 years. And I come from a triad of men who stayed with their wives for decades. And I listened to love music that my dad used to play with for my mom, and they used to dance. And so all of it is very relative, that a man showed me how you love a woman. He showed me how you show that you chosen her, and that you gonna keep her, and that you gonna stay with her. And it's in all of this love music now. But you think about what the kids have now. They don't have love music. The music that they have now is not teaching how to nest and caress and keep and all of that. So I would say for all y'all brilliant folks out there, especially my two sisters that's on this screen, I hope y'all writing. I really do. I hope y'all jotting or doing something, because it's so valuable. It is for future, so many generations.
I love that you said that. And I had a similar experience. My parents used to flirt with each other by playing music. And so they would start playing songs and looking at each other. I'm like, can I go over Shantae's house? Can I Shantae? I don't know what's going to happen here, but as an only child in the house, I just feel like I shouldn't be here.
That was the cue right there.
That was
the
cute.
extra stage.
And again, I'm 4, 5, 6 years old. We're not having these conversations. I'm just watching my parents. She play a song, she smiles, she get up, and she start dancing. He's sitting in the way he's looking at her. I'm just like, he don't look at her like that most of the time. Why don't you look at her like that?
That's that energy. You felt that energy.
And I must have been here before because I was an old soul. I was just like, it seems like I should leave. It seems like y'all need to be alone.
And your dad probably was like, yeah, you should.
It was like, I'm glad this little girl knows. Come on, let me go talk to her. Hey, she want to come spend the night. All right. We got your second home over with Shantae. You going on over there and y'all fight all night while we over here fighting.
I love it.
I love it too.
Yeah.
So this has been awesome, and I hope to have you guys back for the next conversation. I want to give you all kind of a little heads up, but I then bring my notes upstairs. So the next time we get together, when we talk about sucker for love, what you want to do for love, I want to talk about soft R word, soft rape, because people don't talk about it enough. And William, you dropped this in my spirit. The time you went on to a live rant for 2.5 hours, I was so exhausted after Billy's rant, I had to go to sleep.
Wait. Let me put some context. I was in South Mexico, and I was it's so passion fruit in Spanish is called maracuya. So I was having all of this agua de maracuya and drinking all of this just healthy, and then I was just feeling. I said, if I don't get this out, it's gonna be a problem. I clicked that live button.
He went for 2 hours, and I rolled with him the whole 2 hours. I swear for God, when I got off my phone, listened to Billy, I yawned. I got me a cup of water. I went to use the bathroom. I went in my room and closed the door and lay down and exhausted because he took me places.
I was feeling
and he said things that I didn't have the words for, that I had experienced. And I was just like, we need to have a conversation around this as women. And you touch me in places with your words that I'd never been touched before, or I was afraid to even touch on them because I wasn't honoring myself to know that that was a conversation that I need to break down inside of myself. And it's forcing me to deal with some things that I had suppressed since I was a child. It's a story about Tisha Campbell that I want to use as part of the discussion. And maybe this will, have whoever sees this want to come back. She shared about her sexual assault, when she was 3 years old. I'm not going to get into it now. I'll get into it more when we come back with Sucker for Love, what you want to do for love. And I'm going to use a couple examples about her relationship with her husband, Dwayne Martin, them having a lavender relationship where she was supposedly a shield for him to be in Hollywood and not to have his sexual identity, prevent him from having a livelihood, because Jewish people, they can do it, but we can't do it and still get the job opportunities, or we'll get shunned by our own community if they think that we are this or that or whatever the situation that they thought or people think or people perceive or what's real, all of that. And just her coming out and confronting the person that did that, her coming out and telling her parents and saying that I knew my dad was going to protect me, and then I told a story to my dad, and I told it to my mom, and I told it to my aunt, I told it to my uncle, to my cousin, and still nobody did it. So she walked away believing that bad people don't have to be punished for doing bad things. And then if we look at what's happening in our country, in the government, right? All of these women, and they're trying to pass a law for the one lady that committed suicide because she just kept coming out and saying, this is what's happening to me. They did this to me. Nobody's giving me justice. Nobody's going to admit it. He's not going to go to jail. Oh, he's dead. Whatever. We deal with the soft R word willingly in relationships a lot of times. And cousin Chanel told me this, not the Chanel that's online, different Chanel, told me that if you are having sexual experiences and you've never had an orgasm, then you're still a virgin. And I'm just like, that don't make sense. That's something you got off the color purple, blah, blah, blah. But just to the fact that inexperienced people, the way life and sex was introduced to people, a lot of times it was through molestation. Sometimes it was through porn or by somebody else that didn't know. And people can live their whole lives and never know. And coming to grips and saying this out loud, because for too many decades we didn't have conversations like this. And what I've realized is that the generation of people that came ahead of us, not all of them were vocal, and a lot of them deal with a lot of pain and they don't want to remember. It feels better to be free in their moments right now. They're really good at living in the moment. But they can't go back because it's just too painful. Just to the point I made a little bit earlier, I'm just now, because of a conversation with Billy going on a rant, I'm just not ready to deal with something that I had knew but could suppress and still cope and still show up and be sensational, and nobody knew the wiser. Because what we do, we go through trauma, we get up, we get dressed, and we go outside and act like nothing happened. Just like Tisha Campbell did all these years. Just kept going. All we know is that's Gina. Gina's doing. Why is she doing that to Martin? Because she was triggered by something that happened to her when she was 3. And now she's able to deal with it because she's successful enough to have her own space. She has her own money. She has her own roof. She has security. She has all these things around her where now she can let go and it won't break her to the point where she won't become Gina O. Martin. Same with my situation. So now I'm ready to do it because I said I wanted to get my doctorate when I was 17. So now you didn't did it. So now you're at a point in your life where your kids are gone. Because every day as a mother, you gave more than you had to give every single day. Every day you were as incompetent as you could be, and you gave it all and didn't leave nothing behind. Now they're gone. They're able to take care of themselves. Now you can break and repair and put yourself back together without harming them or stifling them in their opportunities to be productive adults. It's hard as fuck growing up. It's hard. It's really hard. Man, woman, it don't matter. It is hard to live in this skin. Look at all those women in this whole thing that's happening with our country. Most of them that they're talking about don't look like us, but there's a lot of look like us that are not getting part of this story told. And boys, young men, they're not having their story told. It's just too deep. I'm be quiet before I end up.
Well, I will say this. There's I hope that people, if they have a chance, can read anything from Bell Hooks. Because Bell Hooks will give a lot of great information on loving yourself, redefining love, and then also Transforming Rape Culture by Milkweed Editions. That book was given to me by a friend of mine who is an amazing woman, who was like, "Y'all, we living in rape culture."
Wait,
That's what we live.
Give me this book title again.
Transforming Rape Culture by Milkweed Editions. It's a collection of short essays. It's brilliant. And then anything by Bell Hooks, but I just read All About Love by Bell Hooks, and it's about naming those childhood wounds and just naming them, and not doing it as an indictment against your family, but just being like, this is what happened, and I need to know. I need y'all to know that I know what went down. And in order for me to have a clean slate going into my future relationships, I got to name it. So All About Love by Bell Hooks and Transforming Rape Culture by Milkweed Editions. Amazing books.
Spell that last name, Milkweed?
Milkweed, yeah. Milkweed.
That's what you were saying.
And you said Bell, Bell Hooks?
Okay. Bell Hooks, yep.
Thank you.
Of course.
Excuse me, Yaraza. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. It's only been an hour and some change. We're getting off now. It's been an hour and 24 minutes. But I'm so glad you enjoyed it, and thank you. We did go over, but
Thank you for
synergy. I've
coming.
been trying to get these two people on forever.
Yeah. I'm glad it worked. This is amazing.
Me too.
So
Yeah.
I ask you guys to please come back for next time. We're going to get
For
into
sure.
this solve our word
For
and
sure.
break down some things, because women or men, we got some things we need to deal with and we need to get over and we need to work through, just so we can feel free in the middle of the night when nobody's watching, and why we got to have our door locked by ourselves, and why we got to be wrapped in blankets by ourselves. We got to get over this, because then you want to be intimate with somebody so you can feel safe. But you should feel safe regardless. This is our world. We own the whole planet. We should go to any country, not as an American and feel like we're entitled, but just as indigenous people. Indigenous people.
That's it.
This is our world. So everybody, thank you. I love you as always. It's always so good to come on to the channel. It was so good to have my co-hosts here, Sheila and William. Thank you guys so much.
Yes,
We're
thank
going
you.
to come back and do this again. I'm going to drop some links in the chat. I think it was something I was supposed to drop related to some of the other videos that I've done before, like about chaos addicts and something else. But check around on my channels. This is your first time here. I talk about a lot of interesting things. I pull a lot of energy. I am a spiritual advisor. I am the consecrated nature baby. So anything that's going to make your soul feel better and help you stretch out so you can be the best version of love to yourself and for other people, I'm all for it. And again, I thank you for your time and I appreciate you. And I look forward to seeing you soon. Oh, I also do death doula videos where we talk about grief. It's part of life. And I haven't done them in quite a while because things kept happening, mostly funerals, but I keep getting deeper revelations about it. And remember that, we're aliens to this planet. Spirit never dies. So I love you guys and I see you all next time. Peace, love, and blessings. I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful night.
Until next time. Bye, y'all. Much love.